Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here. Welcome back to the 8th episode of the Talk the Wall podcast, and we're back. This week we are without Taylor. Taylor said he was around for this week's podcast, but I actually said that because I was away at the time of recording this, it was easier for myself to just record it on my own, and I seriously can't wait to get back into what's happening with Mill over the period of the past 2 weeks, where we take a look at the transfer market involving some of the key championship transfers. We'll also be talking about Millwall's transfer doings, and if you have missed any of the last 7 podcasts, then click the I button and you will get a link to catch up with the playlist for all the previous videos. And if you want to just catch the last one, then there will be a link in the description to catch the previous podcast. So I hope you guys did enjoy the week's break. There were no videos made during that time. Monday to Saturday I was away. There was literally no time. You could argue I could have made one on Friday for the Norwich preview, but I'm going to be honest, what was a sit? And I'm just gutted because obviously we did actually thrash Norwich, and that was a game I wanted to go to, but I'll talk more about that. Obviously, we played 2 games this past week or so ago. One of them was a 3-1 loss to Reading in the Carabao Cup, and the other one was a 4-0 win over Norwich, as I said. So, first and foremost, what happened in the Reading game? Well, I thought we played some really nice football, but then again, we did come short due to just not being lethal enough up front. We missed plenty of chances that we actually needed to go ahead and score. Now, I'm not going to complain. We can now focus on the league, and I do think that's a cliche for a lot of fans saying, oh, it doesn't matter, we went as far as we are, and, well, we can focus on the league. But no, I genuinely want us to focus on the league. I don't want us to get relegated. I'd much prefer us to get knocked out in the second round than really go on and struggle in the league, because if we do struggle in the league, then it's going to be disappointing. I mean, let's be honest, we played some nice football, and Reading did do well in this game. They were far much better than us, and, well, I think they deserved the win. Their first goal came through former villain, and that's an Aston Villa player, and his name was Leandro Bacuna. It was a sensational goal from outside the box, but we did manage to find our way back into the game through Shane Ferguson, as the winger curled one into the top corner late in the first half. And, well, really from that point onwards, it was just Reading that got better and better and better. And they are a really strong side. Let's not forget the fact they went Wembley against Huddersfield and just lost out on penalties. Now, Quinn forced a save from King, while so did Barrow and Popper in the second half. And it meant it would go to extra time. And obviously that's where Reading went on and won through George Evans and Sam Smith scoring the goals. Now, as I did mention, Millwall played another game which was much better. We won 4-0. Now, again, I wasn't in the country. I really wanted to see this game, and believe me, I am devastated. My family keep taking digs at me because I said I wanted to see the Norwich game, and when they announced this, I was devastated. I really do think Norwich are a quality football side, and, well, we did a number on them. We really played some nice football, and while the goals weren't outstanding, I just think that we beat a side that I regard so highly as a quality championship side. Archer had a great game following some fantastic news, which I'll touch on later. But as for the goals, Gregory scored his first goal of the season on his birthday, while Wallace and Saville also added to their ever-rising goal tally. These two have been fantastic signings, and I will talk about them later on in the podcast. And then finally, Hutchinson got into the mix with grabbing a header, giving us a fantastic and well overdue win, I think we should add. Now let's take a look at our loanees. How did they do this week? Well, we have 6 players that are currently out on loan. The first being James Brown, who could only make the bench in Carlisle United's 1-1 draw with Mansfield, where former Millwall player Callum Butcher scored in his debut for the League 2 outfit. And I will cover Butcher's move later on. But what a way to start at your new club by getting a very nice goal. The next player out on loan is Sid Nelson, who is currently on loan to Yeovil Town, who are in League 2. As for Sid, well, he actually did feature the full game, but he got a yellow card, and, well, Yeovil lost 2-0 to Crawley Town. Probably not the best of results, but I did hear he had a very good last week. Now, talking of not very good weeks, Jimmy Abdu is up next, and the midfielder had an incredibly terrible week. as Jimmy got sent off in the 53rd minute. He got a straight red card for a two-footed tackle on Blackpool player Callum Cooke. And the Wombles actually managed to lose that game 1-0 to Blackpool. Blackpool are on fire at the moment. They are actually giving a decent case of promotion and then being battle going straight using the momentum. Maybe we might even see them in the Championship. Now, what about Harry Smith? Well, he didn't feature in Swindon's 4-1 loss to travelling side Barnet in a match where both sides actually saw a player get sent off, and I'm pretty sure that could give him a good reason to be able to feature in the next game, but I haven't really heard much of Smith. I don't think he's been doing that great at Swindon. Moving down into non-league football, and we'll see how Jamie Philpott did for Woking this week. Well, Philpott came off the bench in the final 10 minutes, and well, he didn't really have an impact in Woking's 3-1 win over Macclesfield. Now, Harry Gerling is the final player, and again, he didn't feature for Leatherhead FC as they won 6-0 against Cray Valley in the FA Cup. A very, very fantastic result for them. But Gerling, again, not featuring. I don't know why he's not featuring. I know he's out on loan to him, but again, another week where Gerling isn't used. This week, we'll be looking at 3 players in our former player viewing section. The first is Martin Wolford. He will then be followed by Lee Martin, and then finally it will be Matthew Briggs. Right, so let's get started with Wolford. He featured for the first time for his new club as Grimsby, who he now plays for, won 1-0 against Crewe Alexandra. Though Wolford had a decent game, he did come off in the 69th minute. Not a bad start for Martin. As for Lee Martin, he featured 80 minutes in Gillingham's home loss to Shrewsbury as Gillingham lost 2-1. Martin didn't score or assist for Gillingham as their poor start to the season continues. And finally, Briggs. He played 66 minutes in Chesterfield's 0-0 draw with Coventry as Chesterfield had a player sent off, and, well, the point was a very valuable one for them. So, I did say I would be giving my view on Mill's transfers. This will cover the ins and outs, but I will not be talking specifically about the loans. So, let's start with the defence and the ins we've got this way. We've signed David Martin until January. I think that's a great signing. The goalkeeper is experienced. He could be used as a second or third goalie, depending on how Harris wishes to use him. But he is a squad player, and that is exactly what we need right now, especially in the goalkeeper area, because Archer was having a bit of a wobble. But if now he's been called up to his national side, you never know, he might actually start getting out there, start really proving that he wants to play some really good football and keep Millwall in this division, because if he does, he may stay in that Scotland team and he might actually get an appearance. He's only been sitting on the bench so far. And as I speak, which is now on the Monday, because I didn't have time to record this on the Sunday, he hasn't actually been called up to start. He's still on the bench. And in terms of the fullbacks, we signed fantastic players. Pretty much a strong upgrade on Martin and Cummins. And, well, we got the 2 players of the season in those positions, McLaughlin and Meredith. Very important permanent deal, which I think quality where it's given. Cooper is a great player. And I think that he deserves to be in a team. And, well, it kind of threw me off guard us signing him. I didn't think we would. And it can't hurt to have a player that's going to be either playing every week or going to be challenging to play in the team most weeks. Into the midfield, Mill signed 2 centre midfielders that play very differently. The first being George Saville, who used to play for us and was someone I was quick to... And he is already proving to be a fan's favourite. He got the Player of the Month for News at Den with their voting section. And, well, I'd say he probably was going to get given that with a mile away. He was just been fantastic. The other midfielder was Ryan Tunnicliffe, a more holding midfielder. Style of play, I'd kind of say he's a destroyer like Ben Thompson. And so much in the way that he's actually causing Ben Thompson to not be in the team, as Tunnicliffe's probably going to get more of an opportunity than Thompson will. And I think that's bad for Thompson's development. I really hope he doesn't get loaned out, but I can't see him featuring in the team. We also brought in Jed Wallace after his successful loan spell and got a much-needed striker in Tom Elliott, who has surprised me so far and been such a huge success. On to the outs, and I'm pretty much happy with all the players that left, but some I'm more surprised with. And, well, in terms of the ones I'm happy with, it's because the fact we've got rid of some dead wood. Millwall didn't used to be able to. We used to have a lot of players that weren't in the team. And from 4 or 5 years ago, I can see a general improvement in being able to get rid of players that aren't wanted. Now, for instance, David Worrell and Greg Wild were two players that just were really awful in a Mill shirt. Yeah, fair enough, it's bad business. We signed them only a season ago and got rid of them, but they never really succeeded. Though I could argue Wild was never given a chance. Worrell got given quite a few chances. He looked promising at the start, but he just really looked poor towards the end of the season. He never really challenged for a position. Now, I was also open to the idea of Alfie Pavey and David Ford leaving, as I believe neither were good enough to play for Millwall. And you don't want to be at a club if all you're going to be is a plan that keeps going out on loan. No one wants that. And though these two players were okay, Pavey may be able to have done a job, never really proved anything. Ford, a club legend, I probably would have wished him to stay around, but either way, Ford needs to progress his career. And while he's gone to someone else, he's actually signed a permanent deal. Well done, Fordy. With Joe Martin, I was really disappointed because I kind of liked him, but it was due to the fact the team was performing so well that he didn't actually feature. I think he's a great player, but he got booked far too easily so many times, and that really let him down. And it was also due to the fact that Craig was getting too much time in the left-back position rather than switching him in the centre-back position. Yes, warranted, Craig wasn't a great centre-back, and that probably would have weakened the team, but Martin just didn't get to feature. And so it's disappointing to see him leave, but obviously these things do have to happen. And there was two players I was kind of surprised about. The first being Sean Cummins, because he didn't sign a contract. I don't really care the fact he didn't sign a contract. It just would have been nice for him to have stuck around. He's a quality player when he did actually perform, and that was every now and then, not all the time. He was never always consistent. And Butcher was the other player left. I was incredibly surprised about this one. I heard it happening though. I did cover it in the last podcast, I believe, that he could actually be leaving, but they cancelled his contract and he joined Mansfield Town. I don't know why, but obviously he's going to League Two. He may be able to do a job for them. He just didn't have enough time and he didn't really do much in a Millwall shirt. Possibly his fault, possibly Harris's fault, but Harris does have a tendency to, if you're not performing in the few minutes he gives you, then you're not going to be in the team. Now let's cover some Millwall news, and we have missed a couple of stories. So the first one is that Jordan Archer has been called up to the Scotland team. No, he hasn't actually featured for them, but this is a huge confidence boost for Millwall's #1 goalkeeper. Talking of international duty, Shane Ferguson and Conor McLaughlin both played for Northern Ireland in their 3-0 win over San Marino. McLaughlin featured for the full 90 minutes, while Ferguson came off the bench in the 61st minute. Now it is time for some sad news. Bobby Bassick has left Millwall to join Kenny Jackett at Portsmouth. The physio had been at the club for 9.5 years. And we have already got a replacement in Paul Turner from actual Norwich City, the side we beat. I think they were talking about a deal while we beat Norwich, but I don't really know that one. I just think it's kind of funny. And speaking of the additions to Millwall's team and lineups and everything, Millwall have actually got a new youth team player. And this person's name is Christian Boraima. He joined from an Australian side. Well, he's a pretty decent youngster from what I've seen. And hopefully, as he's been on trial with a couple of decent clubs, he might actually be all right. Now, obviously, Mill have a long line of Australians that have been quality for us, and I really do sincerely hope that Christian actually gets on that line, like really what Meredith's been for us. I really have been impressed by him. And the final bit of news is that Ryan Tunnicliffe said about playing for Millwall. He said he didn't want to rush to feature for Millwall as he didn't have much of a pre-season. He didn't want to come back into the team not being fully fit, not being matched up, because then he wouldn't look good and the Millwall fans would already not like him. Now, only one of you did leave your comment, and that person was Harry CD. He said, what do you make of Sid Nelson's loan move to Yeovil? I'm happy he's getting first-team football, but now we've only got 3 first-team quality centre-backs in Cooper, Webster and Hutchinson, and this worries me. Now, before I give my response to this, Harry Greenway said, we've got Craig. Yeah, he's not great, but he can do a job. So what are my thoughts on this? Now, I would have actually preferred if Sid had gone on a permanent deal. That might be unpopular. I don't think he adds anything to this team. He was poor for Newport County. And yeah, fair enough, they were battling against relegation. But if you cannot perform for them in that situation, then it really is sink and swim and you really don't deserve to be in a Millwall shirt. I haven't seen quite a lot from Sid Nelson. Every time he plays for Millwall, he really looks bad. Against Dartford, he was just really, really weak, and he was one of the reasons we didn't perform the greatest defensively, and we did concede, not because of him solely, but he didn't help the situation in defence. We were kind of lackadaisical and very poor in the back line. Now, I do have two more sections here. The first being the Championship transfers. I want to talk about 6 key transfers that happened in the summer transfer window. Now, I have tried my very best to avoid players moving from one Championship side to another, because I do feel that that's kind of bad, because new players have come in and new quality players, but I don't really want to be talking about the ones that have gone from one side to the other because they're still in the Championship. Now, the first signing is someone you might be surprised about, but it's someone that's joined Middlesbrough. Martin Braithwaite. He went from Toulouse to Middlesbrough for £9 million. I think this striker is a great addition. He's been really impressive in League One, with scoring 12 goals and 3 assists last season. I think he could be a smart purchase. Yeah, fair enough. 9 million is a lot of money, but nowadays, and for Middlesbrough, that's not really much. And if Martin Braithwaite stays fit, then I think he could be more so important than Britt Osabalonga. Obviously, Osabalonga cost them 15 million and probably is going to be a hit, but let's just say they've signed 2 quality attacking players there, and I think they will be very useful to their battle to try and get straight back to the Premier League. Second is Ruben Neves. He went from FC Porto to Wolves for 15.8 million, possibly the best transfer in the Championship by some country mile. This player has to be the best player in the league. And what a signing by Wolves. How do they manage to pull off these top signings? Well, I know it's because they have the money. And, well, a lot of top teams wanted him. He's such a quality player moving forward. He's already been proven how good he is, but I just think he's wasting away playing in a Championship side. No discredit to Wolves, because they could possibly get promoted, but he needs to be in the Premier League if he's going to be playing in an English league. It's a silly move, but one that possibly could work out financially for him. That's possibly why he's left. The third signing is one that you guys may laugh at me about. It's a player that Millwall fans don't necessarily like at all, and I would have to agree. It's John Terry. He went from Chelsea to Aston Villa on a free transfer. Now, don't get me wrong. John Terry's age is starting to show, but he is a great defender. Aston Villa picked him up. Obviously, fitness could be a big issue along with match sharpness, because he didn't play much for Chelsea towards the end of his career. But if he stays fit, you got a leader, hence why he's the captain. I think he's probably one of the most important signings Villa have made, and they've made some pretty smart signings for the very little budget they was on. The fourth player has got to be Jota. He moved on deadline day from Brentford to Birmingham. I said I'd try and avoid players that move from Championship club to Championship club. And well, unfortunately, there's just one player that has to be talked about, because he is quality. Now, he was obviously Brentford's best player last season, and it's possibly a very good coup that Harry Redknapp has got some fantastic players in for Birmingham. I really did think they were laughing stock at the start of the season, but Redknapp has really put his stamp on the team. Last season, Jota played 23 times for Brentford, scoring 12 and getting 5 assists. He will make a huge difference moving forward for Birmingham, and that is exactly why they signed him. The fifth top signing has to be Ollie Watkins. He went from Exeter City to Brentford. He's someone that I wanted to see at Millwall. Now, this was for an undisclosed fee, so I don't know the exact figures, but I think that he will have a great time at Brentford in a team that's becoming really, really good and signing some great younger players from lower leagues and developing them. He joins a long list of players like Josh McEachran, Daniel Bentley, and Rico Henry. They're obviously promising players that have made the step up to the Championship. Watkins impressed me a lot last season for Exeter, and I think he was playing like he had been a pro for years. He was obviously their best player, and his stats from last season speak for themselves. Yes, I know they were in League 2, but he scored 16 goals, got 13 assists. And if he does make this step a very successful one, then there's only room to move up to the Premier League. And I think Watkins has what it takes, and Brentford will make a considerable amount of money off this transfer if he is a hit. And the final transfer is Johan Mollo. He goes from Zenit to Fulham, and probably not many of you guys would have even heard of him. He signs on a free transfer, which even backs up the idea that not many people think he's that great. But I think he will be a surprise package. And he's quick, he's strong, and hopefully, if he can settle in England, then he will be great because he's been moving about far too much. And I think he has the ability. He's a perfect suit to Fulham. And I think I'd be seriously surprised if he's not one of the names talked about at the end of the season. He just has a nice combination of skills, pace, and trickery to be able to move forward and be able to create opportunities. And on a free transfer, I think Fulham have done great. Now, finally, the final section is where are we in the league? Well, we're sitting 17th, and hopefully after that 4-0 win, it'll kickstart the season and we'll be able to get some more wins. Obviously, we do have a very poor timed occasion coming up against Wolves, possibly the best team in the league, because the players they've been signing. It couldn't come at a worse time after the international break. The fact they sit 4th in the league, we don't really want to be playing them after the international break. We wanted to play them straight away, go at them. And, well, really, I reckon Wolves are going to win 3-2. So that is all we've got time for today. Do feel free to send those emails to brandonprangell@gmail.com with the subject header of Talk the Wall, and I will look through them and add them to the podcast, or just leave your comments in the comment section, and I will obviously have a look at them through next week. So, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, I will be seeing you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall. But until then, goodbye.